Hi there. This is another episode of Treasure Valley QuickTips. What it is I'm a franchise owner of a franchise that's out of Houston, Texas called Network in Action. It's a once a month professional networking group. I have 3 groups and it's ran by franchise owners in the local area, which I am the one here in the Treasure Valley. And it's comprised of local business owners and decision makers and experts in their field. And off of that, I've come up with this podcast, which what I do is I bring in local experts in their field to kind of pass on some valuable tips and information to the local people here in Treasure Valley. And today my guest is Isaac. Hey, Isaac, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, Scott, thanks for having me back on. I think I was here last summer. A lot has changed since last summer. My wife, Ellie, and I are the Reside 208 team brokered by EXP here in the Treasure Valley. And we're mostly residential, but we also deal with a little bit of multifamily and commercial real estate. So we basically are out in the field just about every day of the week.
Wow, that's great. Hey, how do buyers succeed in a seller's market?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? I mean, not only are we in a seller's market, we're probably in the strongest seller's market, that the Treasure Valley has ever seen.
It's talking to you a lot, that makes me kind of listen, but low inventory. That's all I hear,
Yeah, I mean, there's no sugarcoating that. It's definitely a tough environment for first-time home buyers and basically any buyer. But there are some, I call them hacks of the trade, I guess, that you can do. And it all kind of boils down to having the time to prepare your presentation and your offer. And the only way you can do that is to actually work with a good realtor from the get-go. So I know a lot of people like to look at Zillow and Realtor.com and look at homes for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they finally find one, and then they call the realtor and say, "Hey, can we go look at this house?" That used to work in the old days, which is like a year ago. But now you kind of have to establish a relationship ahead of time and get all of the loan details put together. I'll give you an example. So. Obviously, everybody knows you have to have a pre-approval letter from a lender before you can start shopping for a home. It's almost impossible to submit an offer without that.
See, and like, again, because you're in the industry, but me, now you mention it. Oh, okay. But a lot of people, I bet you wouldn't know that. And so they're looking out at homes and they're not even prepared.
Exactly. So if they talk to a good realtor and if the realtor is good at their job, they'll make sure that client has a pre-approval letter. But even that's not enough. So that the hacks that you need with that are one, preferably you would have a pre-approval letter from a locally based lender. So it's not to discriminate against the big box lenders that are based out of Minneapolis or Dallas, but a local lender understands our market conditions. More importantly, it's somebody that you can put a name to a face with if we needed to. We can drive to their office and talk to them face to face. Those types of pre-approvals are looked at very strongly by local sellers. So that's one hack. 2, start early so that you can actually have your entire pre-approval done, what we call fully underwritten. So normally pre-approvals are just a cursory look at your financial status. They check your credit, they check your pay stub, your W-2, they might check your bank account, but that's kind of where it stops. But if you go through the full underwriting process, which costs you nothing, the bank actually goes all the way and they verify employment, they verify assets, they check lots of different things, so that basically the only piece of the pie that's missing is the appraisal of an actual identified property. The reason that's important is because if you go through the full underwriting process, when you make an offer, you can usually make it so that it can close in about 3 weeks, as opposed to the normal 30 to 40 days. And that's because you did most of the homework ahead of time. Now, that only works if you start early, because a pre-approval usually can get done in a few hours or a day, but a fully underwritten can take a little bit longer, anywhere from 2 to 5 days. So, but getting that done positions you and your realtor to really make a strong offer, because the truth is you are competing against people that have cash to pay for a house. So in order to even compete, you have to be able to overcome the duration of the period of the escrow. Because with a cash deal, they can usually close quickly, right?
Right.
But with a typical loan, it's 30 to 40 days. So anyway, having it fully underwritten lets you truncate that to 21 days, give or take. So that's the second hack.
Okay.
The third hack is to understand that unfortunately, because we're a strong seller's market, many, if not most of the
Hey, and Isaac, real quick.
Uh,
Um, and again, because I listen to people like
Sure.
you, but in a strong seller's market, that just, you're just saying people that own a home,
Gotcha.
I'm looking to sell it, and that's the sellers, right?
So a strong seller's market means that there's way more buyers than there are sellers. So it's kind of a reverse intuition, right? So it basically means there's very little inventory, and inventory is a weird word, but it means there's very few homes on the market. I'll give you an example. A year ago, compared to now, we're almost 80% down in our inventory.
Wow.
So for example, there's usually about 1,000 houses for sale, existing houses for sale in Ada County at this time of the year. We actually are at about 240 this year. So it's kind of collapsed. It's not driven by any one issue. Obviously the pandemic played a part of it. But there's a lot of things that have gone into that. So because of that, every time there's a seller, there's at least 10 to 20 buyers looking to buy that house. And that's what we mean by a strong seller's market. So what that equals, unfortunately, in real terms, is that all of the advantages lie with the seller. So this is not the type of market where the buyer can come and say, hey, can I get a deal? Can I get 5% or 10% off? That happens in a buyer's market, which is what we've had historically throughout the years, off and on. So you have to be prepared mentally, emotionally, intellectually, and even physically to be aware that buying a home might not be a one-time experience. It might take some time, and it might take 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 chances before you find a home that you're able to purchase. Now, that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. All that means is that you're basically going to have to be willing to go through the exercise of working with a realtor and a lender and finding a house. It might not be your dream house, but find a house that you can live with, because you're going to make money on your home. One of the things in a strong seller's market is the market values increase really quickly here in Idaho. So buying a house today means in a year, you're going to have 50, 60, 70, potentially even sounds ridiculous, but even $100,000 in profit in just that short period of time. And so that's the positive attitude. It's like, okay, let's get in the market now. Let's buy a home that we can get. And then the next house, maybe in 2 or 3 years or 4 years down the line, we can position ourselves to go into the dream house with the swimming pool and everything else that we thought.
And I love what you said, because it reflects back to me. I bought my house, the one I'm in right now, back at the height. I didn't know it at the height before things, fell apart. And I'm like, I was worried about this and that. And I exactly what happened. This was, I think, my 4th house I looked at, and all the other ones were cash offers. Right.
Yes.
And so I wish I would have had a realtor that would have explained to me, okay, now, don't get too excited about the first house you look at, you know what I mean? And so I actually came back to a house I already looked at and didn't want it, just because the owner was for sale by owner, and he was challenging. We'll put it that way. Right. So anyway, long story short, I got probably the 4th house I wanted at the least. Right now, I expanded the hardwood floors, changed the carpet, live in a nice neighborhood, and my house is up. Now, 12 years later, my house is worth, I'm not going to say how much, but a lot more.
A lot more.
So
probably
what
close
you're
to
saying,
double.
all that you're saying resonates with me, because I went through that exact thing. So I'm sorry for the cutting in there. So you were talking about your hacks. I think it was your 3rd hack you're on.
Yeah. So those are a couple of the hacks. The next one is that you have to be prepared that you're probably going to have to pay over the asking price. So not only are you paying full price, but because there's going to be other buyers, you're probably going to have to pay higher than that. So that means that you have to be prepared financially. So, you have to be able to have some money in your bank account to make up that difference. The good thing, though, is most of the loan programs these days allow you to get gift funds. So
Okay.
you can have relatives, even very close friends, give you money so that you can use towards your purchase. In the past, you couldn't do that, but now you
Okay.
basically can.
And that leads into another question I had for you. And I've talked to other realtors and have not heard this from anybody but you. So I'm excited. And you're actually one of the people that first kind of got it going here in Idaho. I'm excited
Yes.
about. But talk about this tax-free first-time home savings account. This is exciting. I mean, I was trying to get some, good positive pieces.
Yes.
To me, as a first-time home buyer, this is exciting. So tell us about this program now here in Idaho.
So, obviously with the challenges of the prices rising so quickly in Idaho over the last 5 or 6 years, it's become really challenging for a lot of first-time home buyers who we don't always equate with being necessarily younger home buyers. There's lots of reasons why somebody could be a first-time home buyer, depending on, their circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, wages and salaries have not kept up. I think that's obvious, especially in the Treasure Valley, have not kept up with the prices of the homes. So about 4 years ago, when I came to Idaho, I was actually hired as the CEO of the Idaho Association of Realtors, which is the trade organization that basically manages the real estate industry. And one of the jobs that we do is we serve as lobbyists, basically for homeowners, because there is no Homeowners Association of America, right? So we basically try to find ways that we can help people get into houses. One of the things that popped up when I was at that position was this program. There were a couple of other states in the country that had started these first-time homebuyer savings account programs. They're set up to be similar to those 529 college savings plans, right? So we started the ball rolling. Unfortunately, as with anything else in politics, sometimes it takes several years before you get enough legislators to jump on board. So we didn't get much traction the first few years, but I'm proud to say that finally this past year, the Idaho legislature passed the new program and it went into effect this January 1st. So
and I tell you, and I'm excited about you telling me, because like when I heard this, I thought, wow, I mean, this is for first-time home buyers, this is exciting. So how much can you save?
Yep. So here are the details. So you have to be Idaho taxpayers. So this is not children. Okay. This is not like a college savings plan. These have to be adults. I mean, you have to be 18 years old or over. You have to be filing tax returns. A single person filing can save up to $15,000 a year, and a married couple filing jointly, obviously $30,000 a year. So the vast majority of home buyers in our state are married couples, but if you're single, you get half of that. So what that means is you could never have bought a home anywhere before. So it does not mean only in Idaho. You could not have been a homeowner in California or Texas or whatever. It truly is for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
So it allows you to open up a savings account, a special savings account for this particular item, and you can put up to $15,000. The cool thing is there's no deadline to use these funds. So you can continue to add every single year and build up a really nice nest egg, which, as we know now, is really important, especially after what I talked about a few minutes ago, having to pay over asking. Another cool thing about this is that family members can gift towards this fund up to that $15,000 per year. So, definitely, even though you might be 19, 20, 25, if your parents, sisters, brothers, or children want to give you money, they can. So it doesn't have to come just from your own, your own efforts.
Wow.
Finally, this can only be used for any of your down payment or closing costs. So that's been one of the biggest hurdles with a lot of first-time home buyers, is that they have a job and they can handle the monthly payment because they're already paying the same thing in rent.
Right.
But it's that down payment and closing costs that are killing them. So this is what this is geared for. And once again, there's no deadline. So if you're married, you can save $30,000 a year for 2 or 3 years, and then have a huge nest egg to be able to go shopping for a home. So we're very excited.
That is, when you told me that, that's because, again, that's why I wanted to bring you on here, because it is a challenging time right now, right?
Yes.
But so what what can you do? What can you plan? And as a young married couple, you know, you could say, hey, let's start putting money away and maybe plan for 3 years from now.
Yes.
And you have, in a perfect world, 90 grand. But let's say you have $45,000 you've been gifted, throwing the money in there, tax free, right? It's not taxed. What a great thing for a young couple to be able to do.
And it's a very positive. It's a positive, proactive thing. Yep. And it's not every single bank has it yet, but there's about 7 or 8 that are set up. Okay. You know, ICCU, Willamette, most credit unions. So it's easy if you can either go to a current lender that you belong to and ask if they have it, or you can just Google this and banks will pop up. But I definitely recommend it.
I love that. So now you get this is always a challenging one, is right. Get your crystal ball. Cause I mean, nobody knows but sure. I mean, everybody's always asking, I see all over like, or they themselves who know nothing about real estate doing their own predictions. But what do you see here in the Treasure Valley for like the next 12 months and beyond for the housing market?
So I will say, looking back, I done some of these podcasts here and there 2 years ago and a year ago, and people would ask me the same question. And I would always say, it's going to just get harder. The prices are going to continue to go up. So I'd like to think that the ball was really good in hindsight, because it has.
Yeah.
Even I was incorrect though about how much it would go up.
Yeah. See, I think last, whenever it was this summer, when you were on this podcast, you said, and I was, people would think, oh, that's just because he's a realtor and stuff like that. But
salesman, right?
Man, I'll tell you, you were wrong by the fact that it's gotten since even tenfold more.
Yeah, crazier.
It is. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that we see. I mean, one thing is that we do think that interest rates are going to continue to rise. Okay. That's based on national implications, but we don't think that's going to rise to the point that it becomes detrimental, because when you and I bought houses our first time, we were paying 7, 8, 9%, even 5%.
7.9%, and I thought I got a deal.
Exactly. So right now, you're not going to get a 2.5% interest rate like you would have 6 months ago, but you're still going to get a 3.2, which is incredible by historical terms.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So interest rates are going to go up, but unfortunately, we are already building as fast as we can here in the Treasure Valley. We got to be honest. Idaho makes building pretty simple. I mean, for the most part, we have some of the most building, business, development friendly governments in the whole country here.
Right.
So it's not like we're being held back by permitting issues and red tape. Right. We just can't build literally fast enough. We have enough land. I mean, there's plenty of land to build. Yeah. So it's not a matter of that. So I guess we're still going to struggle with increasing our inventory in the next 12 months. And because of that, we're probably going to continue to see the prices of housing continue to push up. Some good news is that, we do see a complete rebound from the pandemic. It's already becoming evident. So jobs are coming back. Yeah. Lots of people are working again. We just have to see if the wages start to go higher. But I would say within the next 12 months, we're not going to see any type of huge fundamental shift, at least in the local market here. It's going to continue to be tight. Buyers are going to have to continue to do what we talked about a while ago and prepare themselves, get the stamina, and connect yourself with a really good professional. You cannot buy a house by yourself in this market. You just won't win, because it's too complicated as far as the lack of inventory and the advantages that a seller has. So even buying from a for sale by owner, you still have to have somebody guide you through the paperwork and the disclosures and the legalese. It's an amazing time. So I would say 12 months from now, we'll probably be having the same conversation. I'm going to estimate that housing prices are going to probably rise another, probably between now and a year from now, 15 to 20%. Yeah.
So then that leads into, I talked to you, before we were going on, is, so existing homes versus a new home. You know what I mean? Existing home right now, everyone's bidding for them. So why can't you go to one of the, we have some builders around here that seem to be building as fast as they can. Why wouldn't you? Which would be better? I mean, go to them and say, hey, I just want to buy a home, and then I don't have to deal with all this bidding. Or am I wrong on that? Because like I said,
no.
That's why I'm bringing you on.
So there are a couple advantages to buying a new construction spec home or tract home, which means it's already built. It's not necessarily, you're not ordering it, so
Okay.
it's not a custom home builder. If you're going to buy a house that just got built or it's about to be finished in the next 30 days, and there are a couple of builders locally that do that, the advantages to that is they generally take the first acceptable offer that comes.
Huh.
So you're not in a multiple offer situation like you are with an existing home. Existing homes are challenging, especially anywhere from 250 to 400,000. That's such a middle price range here in Ada County that there's going to be multiple offers on every home. And so that gets back to the challenge of having to pay over asking and lots of complications. But a new construction home, they don't do that generally. So if there's a house in Nampa for 400,000, it just got built, you go there with your realtor, you like it, you decide you want to buy that house. As long as you're the first one to put the offer in, you basically get it.
Oh.
Not like they don't say, hey, we're going to hold off until Monday and we're going to see how many offers we get. Because that's what's happening with existing homes. Is the sellers are saying, okay, my house is available on Wednesday. Everybody that wants to make an offer, you have until Sunday night, and then we're going to review all the offers and choose the best one. That makes it tough if you're a first-time home buyer, right? So that's the difference. So with the new construction, you have a much better chance. But the issue, though, is that new construction prices are rising actually a little bit quicker than existing. So you have to still have your pre-approval. Unfortunately, you can't find a new construction right now anywhere in the Treasure Valley, basically for under 400,000.
I haven't seen any. I mean, I look online, and there's a couple, like you said, a couple here that are probably the biggest home builders, and they post the prices of them, and for 450-ish,
yes,
up to 550-ish and up. I mean, that's the range that's the most affordable ones I've seen.
I sold one on 2 days ago, actually, Good Friday, or 3 days ago, for 437 in Nampa.
Wow.
So, and the cool thing is that subdivision has a swimming pool. So at least the kids can go swim in the pool. So that's the thing, is if you're pre-qualified for that amount, great. But unfortunately, in Ada County, the prices are even higher than that. So new construction in Ada County right now, like Meridian, Southeast Boise, you're looking actually closer to $500,000 if you want a new construction home. So it's not necessarily within reach of a lot of buyers. But if you are approved for that amount, then I definitely recommend taking a look at that. It's much less stressful. You don't have the issues with deferred maintenance, and you don't have to worry about fighting against 20 other offers, half of them being cash buyers from out of state. So
and here in the Valley overall, I mean, I grew up here, third generation, and I live in Canyon County. Years ago, I moved to Canyon County for my first house, and everyone thought I was a nut because I lived with all the farmers, they said at the time. and it was because I could afford it, but I didn't want to have that big a house payment. And so now, that being said, it's and they keep improving the interstate and stuff. It's not that bad. I mean, from Canyon County, it takes me longer to get to the interstate, right? A couple miles of interstate than it does to get from here to Meridian. So I mean, getting a home, in Canyon County or a little even further out, so you can afford a house. I mean, here in the Treasure Valley, it's doable, and you should. I mean, if you don't beat yourself up, because like I said, I moved to Canyon County, and I can't believe how fast. Yes, sometimes there's some traffic and stuff, but overall, the traffic here is still not that bad once you get on the interstate.
Oh, exactly. I mean, especially with all the growth that's gone on in other parts of Ada County, like you said, traveling down Eagle to get to Eagle to the interstate takes forever compared to so I hear you. But I would say overall the real estate market is healthy here, and it's still, because we're a beautiful place to live, all the advantages that we know about is going to continue to draw people. That's not going to go away. The genie's out of the bottle. Everybody's discovered how what a wonderful place it is to raise children, raise families, retire. So we just have to make the best of it and continue to find ways to help our first-time home buyers get into homes. And that's what my wife and I, who's right behind me on this, and those are my children, we're dedicated to do that.
Cool.
So thanks for having me today, Scott.
I got one last question for you. Is one, I want to thank you for your service because I know you're a veteran.
Thank you.
So I want to end on this is because my dad's a vet, my cousin's a vet, my uncle's a vet, my brother's a vet, and so I'm pro veterans and people to serve. And so how have you helped people recently, like veterans, buy homes?
Yeah, we do a lot of work with veterans, and we actually just last week we had 2 VA loan applicants purchase homes. I have one who's actually an active duty airman stationed in Germany right now, and he's transferring back to Mountain Home in July. And we helped him find a house in Mountain Home, sight unseen, obviously, because he's in Germany. So it was all through Zillow and Realtor.com. We got him under contract with a VA loan, which a VA loan is an awesome program because you need 0 down.
Oh, wow.
If you served your country or if you're active, you have to put 0 down. In fact, you can even get some money back at closing if you're a disabled veteran. So it's a really, really cool program. And then I had another one go under contract. I just mentioned it a while ago in Nampa for 437.
Oh, that was veteran too?
Yeah, because
awesome.
because it was a new VA loan, he didn't have any extra money to even consider paying above asking price. Oh. So we went to the new construction where he was able to just pay the asking price, which he was approved for. No multiple offers. Wow. Smooth and easy. He's all happy, and he gets to close in 30 days and move into a brand new home with a 1-year warranty, because in Idaho, all new construction comes with a 1-year full home warranty by the builder. So if anything goes wrong that first year, they have to fix it. And that's one of the other benefits of a new construction too.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to end it. It's like helping out our fellow veterans here. That's great. And no down payment. We're talking about the down payments and saving this stuff, but if you're a veteran, you serve your country. What a great benefit. Well, perfect.
And that even applies for some surviving spouses too. So if your husband, if your deceased spouse passed away and they were a veteran, you as the survivor can still qualify for the benefits as well. To a certain extent, there's some caveats, but for the most part, you can still access those benefits. So it's really cool. Yeah, and you can use this over and over in your lifetime. It's not like you buy one house and it's done. You can buy all your houses in your lifetime as a veteran using the VA loan, as long as each one before that is paid off or sold.
Right.
It's a pretty cool deal. It's not just a one and done thing. So
that's awesome.
There's no price limit. There's no limit. It's just based on what you can afford for your payment. As long as you qualify, so you could buy a $1 million house in Eagle if you're a veteran, as long as it has nothing to do with income. It just has to do with your veteran status.
Right.
So if you're a veteran who makes a decent salary, you can afford $1 million house. You can use your VA loan with 0% down, which sounds astounding, right? Because we tend to think of those types of programs with, first-time home buyers or lower income type jobs. But with the VA, it's not at all. It's on your service. So if you were a general, 4-star general, and you retire, you can buy a house for 0% down payment.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Huh?
Well, I always like to brag about my brother. He retired as a colonel.
Oh, wow. Hey, a full bird.
Yeah. So
that's great.
That was pretty good on him. So, hey, well, it was great having you on today. Like I said, this is great. I love the fact that you brought some, at least some positive, insights to the valley here and stuff like that. And we're gonna have to have you on. I'll have to do the same thing as, wait like 6 months again and see if your predictions are true.
I'll come back at the end of summer, like in October, September, see what happens.
That'd be great. Yeah. It's always great having you on. Hey,
thanks, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Isaac.
Bye-bye.